horses, another 5 or 6 series of cars, somewhere between 8:01:30 and about 9:54. And so he's going to come up and talk to you about that to make sure that we can meet our contractual obligation to do that. Thanks, Dave.
So first of all, welcome on behalf of 935 volunteer members of the Tournament of Roses. Most of us have grown up in the neighborhood. Many of us came to the parade because we marched in the parade with BCC or some other group when we were growing up and fell in love with this parade very early on, and it stuck. These are life experiences. I look back on those years marching down the parade route very fondly. You are in for a fabulous day. It will exceed all of your expectations, and I just hope you have a great time. I also want to thank Lieutenant Mercado because it is so, we are so grateful to have the support that we do from our law enforcement partners. We are in the palms of their hands. We have unlimited, virtually unlimited support from law enforcement. We get resources from everywhere. They are very good, they are very smart, and they are all here to make sure that we all get down the parade route safely. So thank you, thank you, thank you for what you do for us. Okay, so let's talk about how we build a parade. So you know that you're going to arrive at staging area 2, you're going to go to staging area 1, or did I get that backwards? All right, you're going to go to 1, then you're going to go to 2, and you're going to end up there at the right-hand side of the green arrow. So you can see this is how we build the parade. The bands come in from the freeway exit there on the green. The equestrian units are going to come in much the same way you do, but they're the red arrow. If you can see the blue arrow at the bottom, that's where we have lined all the floats up getting ready. And then you see a tiny little orange arrow, that is where all our VIP vehicles will enter at the Tournament of Roses. And once we fold them all into position, we get a parade that is yellow. So once you're in that yellow area, you're in an area that we call the chute, and you're in parade order. And that's essentially how parade operations puts the parade together. And I should stop and say, we essentially have 4 jobs as Parade Operations Committee. One is to create a timely model to make sure that everybody gets into that limited network broadcast that we have available. We are responsible for putting the parade in order, and this is the method that we use to do that. Then we are responsible for releasing the parade into TV Corner, once again, to make sure that we can get everyone on the network broadcast. And finally, with the help of our law enforcement partners, we're responsible for getting you safely down to the end of the parade. Oh my goodness. Okay, so when you're coming up, let's go back right there. Well, let's go back. So when you're coming up in the green arrow, that street is very narrow. You probably won't be able to take your final band formation. You want to do your best. You want to stay as tightly bunched as possible. But when you turn right onto Orange Grove there and you're in that yellow chute, the street gets much wider, 44 feet wide. At that point, you should be able to take your final parade formation. The only difference being that when you're in this yellow chute, you're still backstage. We are still well off camera. You don't want to exert yourself. You could warm up there, but there is no media coverage in that area. And as a result of that, we're going to pack you in very closely. We would expect you to be in your appropriate parade formation, but there's not going to be very much space between you and the unit in front of you and the unit in back to you. We're trying to get you up to the start line and get you ready to go. And that's it. Don't overexert yourself. So here is a view of South Orange Grove, and this happens to be the Marine Corps Band coming up the street in a 44-foot wide street with their formation. And then when you come up to the top of that chute area, you're going to be at Green Street. And at Green Street, we're going to pause you briefly to allow the unit that's in front of you to proceed into TV corner. And we're going to allow for 161 feet of space between the back end of the previous unit and the front end of your unit. And so we're going to ask you to just pause briefly. And I'm going to ask Karen Parmesan to stand, because Karen will be there with me, and it will be Karen who's out in the middle of the street asking you to stop. And then she'll be looking at a timing stand, and when we have created the appropriate space for you, then she will release you, and at that point, you are on TV. It's very important that when you're being paused briefly, and it is a brief pause, 45 seconds. When you're paused there, it's very important that you mark time. Please do not stop marching. Please obviously don't put your instruments down. You're only going to be there very briefly. Drum majors, we need your band to just continue to mark time, and then look for that signal from Karen, and then immediately step off. And I can't tell you how important it is for us to manage the timing of the parade. We have a lot of stuff packed into less than a 2-hour broadcast, and they're adding stuff almost every day. So timing is super important, and my concern is that the last couple of units in the parade aren't going to make the TV broadcast. And it happens. It happened last year when we had the Swedish American Cadet Band come all the way over for Sweden. They were the last unit in the parade, and they didn't make the broadcast. And it was a heartbreaker for all of us, given the effort that they had put together, the effort the tournament had to try to get everyone on TV corner. So last year was sort of an anomaly. We don't expect that to happen again, but you as partners with the Tournament of Roses can assure that the last few units in the parade get the same sort of coverage that all the rest of the units do, because you complied with our request to stop, to mark time at Green Street, wait for Karen's signal, and then immediately proceed. The other thing that is very important is once you get into TV corner, we're counting on you to maintain parade pace, 220 feet per minute. We are not anticipating that you're going to stop, that you're going to perform in any way, that you're going to pause, that you're going to go backwards, that you're going to dance, you're going to do any of those things. We are counting on you to move quickly at parade pace through the TV corner. Once again, because I'm concerned about all those units at the end of the parade, and I need to make sure that they get the same exposure that you get. Once you cross Green Street and Karen has released you, understand that you're now on TV, the TV broadcast, all the way up to the corner of Orange Grove, where you're going to take that 110-degree right-hand turn, and you're going to go down Colorado, and you're going to go quite a ways before you're out of the TV camera. We estimate 6 minutes. So when you step off at Green Street, given Karen's signal, you probably want to go to your number one piece of music. And if you have a program in place where you roll right into number 2 or number 3, that would be my recommendation. I'm sure you've practiced all these things long ago. But you will be on TV for about 6 minutes, and the networks typically will cut away from a band if they stop playing and go to cadence. So for the next 2 hours, you'll be going down the parade route. You will see a large grandstand just north of us here at PCC. We always encourage our band members to, when they see those large grandstands, to ask their drum major to start a new piece. It was mentioned before, there are no restrooms on the parade. The parade route will be lined with white suiters. If you have any difficulties, as was mentioned previously, if you need to drop out, if you need water, band directors, you can get the attention of one of the white suiters that are stationed along the side. They have water that they can pass out to you. They can help you with first aid issues. But once a band member drops out of the formation, we're going to get them to Red Cross to make sure they're okay. Then we're going to put them in a van, and we're going to escort them to the end of the parade so they can connect to the rest of the band. So once you're out, you're out. Here again, parade pace is 2.5 miles an hour. That's 220 feet. Spacing this year is actually a little bigger. It's 161 between units. That's about 45 seconds for every unit in the parade. Obviously, some bands are larger than some equestrian units, and it'll take them a little longer to get through TV Corner. We understand that, but what we hope you can do is maintain that 220 feet per minute. And here's some of the folks that you will see down the parade route. We have lots of people on scooters, and we have lots of people standing. They are all there to support you. Many of them are here today. If you are with the parade ops, and you are a unit manager or a troubleshooter, could you please stand? So we have about 88 units in the parade, and we've divided that parade into 8 units. And each unit has a unit manager that will go down the parade route. Each float has a float liaison that will go down the parade route. There are troubleshooters that manage areas along the parade route, and there are station liaisons that manage specific street corners. All you need to know is everybody in a white suit is there for you. Just ask for help and expect to get it. Okay, so now that I told you how important it is to keep moving and not bog down, particularly in TV Corner, let me tell you we're going to stop the parade twice. So, in the middle of the parade, hopefully right at 9 o'clock straight up, we are going to have a performance from a theatrical troupe of Frozen that happens to be in Los Angeles at this time. And they're going to come out in front of the grandstands at the beginning of the parade, and they're going to perform for about 2.5, 3 minutes. And while we do that, all of those white suiters that we just talked about are going to come out in the middle of the street and they're going to ask you to stop. And they have big red signs that say, stop. And we're going to ask you to stop and entertain the crowd wherever you are. And they'll be giving cues on the radio from the parade ops headquarters. And at the conclusion of the mid-parade performance, they're going to get a countdown and they're going to flip their signs to go. And any of you who have experienced LA traffic know that when the car in front of you goes, then after a while the next car goes, and the next car goes, and you have this huge accordion effect. That is really bad. We don't want that. So what we're hoping is that when you get the cue to go, and that sign turns green from whoever happens to be in front of you or in front of the unit in front of you, that the drum majors take the initiative to start their band and move forward and assume that the float or the equestrian unit in front of them are going to do the same thing. We're really trying to avoid that accordion effect on the restart, and we have our fingers crossed that with your help, we can pull that off. That is not easy. Very easy to control what the theatrical company is going to do on TV Corner. Very difficult to give you the guidance that you need out on Colorado Boulevard to get you to stop promptly and start again. But we're going to try our very best, and with your help, we think we can make it happen. The same thing is going to happen at the end. At the end, we're going to have another performance. We're going to toss a football. It's a new tradition with the tournament where we're going to throw a football toss it over to the football game, and we're going to kind of kick off the rest of America's New Year's celebration going to the football, and we're going to stop the parade again. So once again, all those white suiters we talked about are going to be out in the middle of the street. They're going to hold up their stop sign, and wherever you happen to be, we hope that you will stop promptly, entertain the crowd, keep an eye on the person who's giving you a signal, and when you get the signal to go, drum majors, please promptly start your band. Occasionally, we have issues on the parade route, typically with floats that are basically prototypes. They're built for one-off parade. Most are very reliable, but it's not unusual for one or two during the course of the parade to have a problem. And what we encourage those floats to do is work with their float liaison and pull their float over to the right. And we will either try to fix the problem very quickly, or we will pull a tow truck out and hook them up, because they all have facilities to be towed very promptly, and get them on the way. But while that float is pulled over on the right, this is your invitation to pass them on the left. Now, I know a minute ago we were talking about evacuation of the parade route. In the event of some significant problem on the parade route, and I'm telling you, it needs to be very significant, where we would ask the bands to leave the parade route. Typically, the bands are going to exit to the south side, away from the mountains. But in the event that it's just a breakdown along the way, we're going to ask the floats to pull over to the right-hand curve, and we're going to ask the equestrian units and the bands and every other float or every other unit that's behind them to pass them on the left. So you see that, if you see that's what's happening, expect that as the direction that you're going to get from all those white suiters who are out there helping you do that. In the unlikely event that we have a runaway float, so you understand when you get to TV corner and you turn that 110-degree right-hand turn, the street runs downhill there. And in the event that an equestrian unit or a float loses control of their downward momentum, once again, we're going to direct them to go to the right. There's people at the bottom of the hill that are watching for that very unlikely circumstance. They're going to direct you to the left. So in all emergency situations on the parade route, assume that the problems are on the right and you want to be on the left. We talked about dropouts. Remember that if you need anything, just find a white suitor. We have water, we have access to first aid. If somebody needs to drop out, we will have them checked out briefly by first aid partners. And if they're okay, then we're going to give them some water, give them a snack, and we're going to put them in a van. And when we are watching the timing of the parade and we see that your band is about ready to reach the end, we will get that van moving and get your dropouts back to you so that they can leave with you on your bus at the end of post-parade. If the injury is more serious than that, the Red Cross will make that determination, and then we'll get involved with Pasadena Fire Department, and we will transport them to the hospital on your behalf, and keep you informed as to the status of those family members. And here, the yellow-orange line there represents the parade route, and you can see a bunch of Red Cross stations. That is where we have pre-established Red Cross spots there to service your needs, but we have several more white suitor positions in addition to that. So wherever you see a white suitor, that's where you want to go. Just go to a white suitor, ask for help, expect to get it, and they will take you to the Red Cross or People Mover or whatever. And that's it. I just can't thank you enough for being here. The bands are a huge part of our tournament family. Like I said, it's going to be a great day. This parade will exceed your expectations, and that's because